Greetings, everyone. I know you love it when I speak and my information is not rehearsed. I know many people like the fact that the videos are not edited. And when they are, I tell you, just trying to be as authentic as I possibly can because my goal is not for you to like or to subscribe or to share. You do that on your own free will. I am reaching out to who is already here. Yesterday, I had a terrible day. For some reason, I kept getting these videos, people sharing information with me, and I appreciate that. But as I was watching them and deciding within myself that this is a new year, and some of these stories are not new, I was just ignoring them until finally I had a notification from one of my friends. And I watch his videos. I support his videos all the time because, for one, he doesn't censor me. And at some point, you might see my comments somewhere on some videos. They are long, they're like epistles because it's very difficult for me to express myself in just a line sometimes when there's so much to say about what that person, a 15, 20-minute video, I don't think warrants a one line because there's so much that is said. And I'm hoping that when people are doing these videos, they're not just doing it just because, you know, they want to make money or they want to make it into a business. They're doing it because they actually mean what they're saying. So I always approach people's video as if, okay, this is not just for attention. This is not just for likes. This is really you trying to have a conversation with me about whatever. But I'm beginning to see that a lot of people that do YouTube are just doing it for business, and nothing is wrong with that. And so you have to know who is doing it for what. People who actually want to have a conversation, who want to really hash out some things and discuss it in detail and somehow at least get some peace of mind. Those individuals, I'm beginning to know who they are. And so this man who uploaded this video yesterday is one of those persons that I feel is really trying to have this conversation to at least bring some awareness. So I watched his video and he was talking about, and I'm not calling your name because sometimes people don't want their names to be called. But if you don't mind, I'll share it at some other point. But anyway, the video was showing some people in Jamaica protesting about having 8 acre areas of their coffee chopped down because the land was owned by someone who decided he wanted to take possession of it. On the surface, when you look at it and you see all these black people standing around and watching their crop that is ready to be harvested, I mean, perhaps another few weeks, you could see some of the coffee ripening. And as a person who grew up on a coffee farm, I know what that's like. So, ripening coffee beans, just a few more weeks and it will be ready. But apparently, the owner of the land went to court, and the court sided with him, and so he didn't wait for the farmer's coffee to be ready. He chopped it down, and I was looking at it, and I felt my blood boiling. But I'm thinking to myself, it's time for us to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. There's so much involved with that I don't know for me to really be able to come here and just say, this, get righteously angry and say, this man violated the Jamaican people. Because for one, I'm absolutely sure that the persons who chopped down that 8 acres of coffee beans are not that gentleman from wherever he comes from. I'm sure he employed other Jamaicans to do it. I am sure that he couldn't have gone on that property and chopped down that coffee without the consent or the approval of the court. I'm absolutely sure that in the person who, brought them in as investors and sold this property to them is not a stranger. It is one of our own. So I think we spend so much time just looking at our oppression, looking at the system, looking at, things that are happening to us and crying about it for a day or two. And then we immediately move on to something new. Nothing really changes because at the end of the day, if you don't change you, you can't force other persons to accept you. This is my message for 2018. And so when I see these videos of individuals, getting killed by police, and I see their parents accepting payouts, I see a little girl being, slapped in Jamaica and her parents are silent, it makes it very difficult for someone who is trying to find peace to go out there and fight for these individuals because these are losing battles. As a Black person who spends so much time talking about the past, talking about our ancestors, talking about inequality and injustice in the world, I can also say that I'm also the type of person who is very realistic, and also the type of person who look in the mirror oftentimes when I am griping, when I am complaining, and say stop to myself. I allow myself to have these pity parties here and there. But at some point, I have to say, okay, where did you go wrong? What is your responsibility in this game? And if we look at our history in Jamaica, you understand that people see these political figureheads as next to God. They do not hold these individuals accountable. These individuals do as they like for centuries, and the people accept it. And every time you see, something new happen, a whole bunch of Jamaicans come out and we all talk about it and we scream about it. It's like we get so excited to talk about these things. It's almost like we're looking, our adrenaline pumps when we see all this negative news. We jump on it, but we come up with all the problems, we see the problems, but we don't have any solutions. We don't propose solutions. And if you do propose solutions, there are individuals to slap you down to say, that will never work. This will never work. That will never work. Always negative. So you can tell that they're not trying to change anything. They're just trying to, keep talking to make it have this appearance as if they want change. And they don't. So after watching this video yesterday and getting righteously angry, and then realizing to myself, this is just another complaint. This is just going to be another. And I'm not saying my brother that's doing the video is complaining. I'm saying the people who are involved in that situation, tomorrow something else will happen and they will accept it. I know also too that we oftentimes do not pay attention to messages that are given to us. And I kind of have a difficult time believing that those farmers would have been on that property planting their crop for 40 years, and suddenly someone chops down their thing and they had no indication that they were planting their crop on a property that did not belong to them. I just have a difficult time believing that could be true. I'm not going to talk about issues anymore that we can fix ourselves. I'm not going to cry with individuals who are content in their situation and their circumstance. By the end of the night, one of my Facebook friends, sent me a video, and I didn't even listen to it. I just heard like someone was jogging and she was reading names, and I clicked out because right away I was already very overwhelmed with all that I saw throughout the day. And maybe it was something different, but I assumed it probably was names of victims who lost their lives. And it was just something that I thought, how useful is this for me? How beneficial is this for me in growing, in becoming stronger? When I'm inundating myself with all these negative things, it's not like I'm putting it out there and bringing awareness. None of this stuff is new. You can't bring awareness to something that you already know about. It has to be something that is not known. None of this is new, but the response to it is always the same. And I think it's time for us to change as Black people. It's sickening. When I see strong Black men standing around and just whining and complaining, it makes me sick. It makes me feel embarrassed to be a Black woman. I'm thinking, where are my men who are out there doing things, changing the world, you know, doing things for us not to be so dependent? Where are our men? I don't like to see men bitching and complaining too much. It turns me off because we do that a lot as women. And even we have to stop doing that. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see a Black man bitching and complaining about nothing. I want to see you out there changing. I want to see you out there fixing. I want to see you out there building. I will disrespect you. I will disrespect you. I don't want to hear any Black man crying and whining about nothing. We cry and whine too much. Enough is enough. Okay, if you're not going to change the circumstance. And I also said to my brethren, some things are meant to be under the radar. You see something you don't like, and it's a constant thorn in your side. You're going to do something about it, and you're not going to advertise it to the world. You're going to do something about it. And stop bitching. There are a lot of things that I want to talk to you about and complain about and whine about, but it's just going to make me look very weak. Not just look weak. In essence, it's going to contribute to me staying in that weak state of mind. My day yesterday was ruined. So if you're teaching me something new about the culture, if you're teaching me something about Africa, you know, if you're going to teach me something about building my self-esteem, something that's going to help me to understand who I am as an African person and not continue rehashing and reminding me of the things that you feel you can't change. See, as I get older, I don't accept the things I cannot change anymore. I change the things I cannot accept. And when I'm in a position where I feel like I'm not physically able to change that circumstance, then I don't talk about it anymore. It doesn't make any sense. It's redundant. And it's as annoying as hell. So I'm picking and choosing the things that I want to talk about. And when I see that there's something that comes up that everybody is addressing, let them deal with it. I don't have to. They already took care of that for me. If I feel like commenting on those videos, I will. But the repeating of the same thing over and over, I can just imagine other people looking in and saying to themselves, wow, they're like a bunch of imbeciles just bitching and complaining all the time and not doing anything to change that situation. We're not the only ones who've had persecution. We are not the only ones who suffer. We are not the only ones who have had common enemies. We are not the only ones. It looks bad. It looks really bad when we act as if our hands are tied, that we don't have autonomy, that we don't have a mind of our own, that we can change our present circumstances if we want to. We can. And what I do know with certainty is that the individuals that we accuse of oppressing us, when we look at these individuals, we clearly see that they're not paying us any mind because they know nothing will change. It's like we enjoy being in this servile existence. We enjoy being the ones where others come to solve our problems, to teach us how to solve our own problems. They teach us how to accept ourselves. had nothing else to say about what's going on in Jamaica. It's no longer any of my business because everything that comes up now, none of it is new. If it has escalated and gotten worse over the period of time, it's something that was brewing. The signs, it was already there. Footsteps already planted in the sand. I want to say on this subject, though, that the crime and violence that you see in Jamaica is not all from the citizens of Jamaica. And the crime and violence you see in Jamaica is a means to an end. That there are individuals within the system, powerful men and women within the structure that benefits from crime. And when it's convenient, when they're ready to solve it, they will. And when the citizens of Jamaica are ready to be not exploited, they won't be. There's no point crying over individuals who decide within themselves that they're helpless, that they're useless, and the only power and strength they got is for females and children, and the only power and strength they've got is towards their own brother, their own fellow human being in the same space where they live. I'm moving on. I'm not wasting any more of my energy fighting over issues that concern most Black people, because the same ones that you're there feeling sorry for, take your eyes off for a moment and see what happens to you. I'm not a revolutionary fighter. I'm a person who speaks the truth, my truth, because it might not be your truth. I'm the kind of person, when I see something, I just call it as it is. I'm not someone who is going to babysit your feelings. Sometimes I'm harsh, sometimes I'm cold. Don't mean that I'm always right. Sometimes I might be wrong in my approach. I'm a human being. Can't tell you what you want to hear. But I can't indulge in the self-pity, always feeling sorry for big grown-ass men and women who have the ability to change their circumstance and refuse to. Loving pity, wanting people to always feel sorry for you, complaining about this or that, and not wanting to do nothing to change it for yourself. It's 2018. As I get older, I have to find peace. Because if I were to come and share everything that is happening in my life, and all the struggles and the suffering and the health, this or that I'm going through, that benefits nobody. Who the hell wants to hear all that? You just, at some point, no matter how much you're loved and how many companions you have around you or family members that love you, there are times when you're going to go through something that you're going to have to face by yourself, that has to be resolved by you. And I have great support in my household, but I've had incidences, touch and go situations in my life where I had to figure out how to survive that circumstance. And no one was around at the time to help me. I had to do that on my own. And so it is in life. We have to all stand up and face our own journey, our own path. But the most important thing is to let go of that self-pity. And also to learn when to attract peace in your life. Some of these titles are provocative and they make you angry. They burn you out. I feel burnt out sometimes. It's a heavy load. And the history of this channel that I have created, I have moments where I've had to start and stop, where I, go in and look at these issues. They burn me out. They make me angry. They make me bitter sometimes. And as I said to a friend last night, sometimes these issues are so painful that they'll cause you to not see people. You see color. And it's not always the other person's problem or the other person's fault. Sometimes it's yours. Failure to do what is right for you and your household. Jamaica land I love, always will. But many of the problems that I see there are the citizens' fault. No one can enter your gate unless you open it out and invite them in. And when they come in your space and they're violating you, they can only continue to do that with your permission. That is what I'm always trying to say. We've got to stop this self-pity and this whining. And I really need to see more strong men. And when I say strong men, I'm not talking about men who sit on their ass and wait until things get to the point where you are abused. I'm talking about preventative measures taken and going out there and building together as a community. You will never find everybody in the country where you're at to always be on your side or to agree with you. So if there's 10 people out of a million that you can work together and build a common, you know, community that benefits the 10 of you, just go ahead and do that. And stop expecting euphoria. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And stop giving away your secrets and stop telling all your plans. Because when you do that, you're just inviting the enemy to come and foil those plans. Silent resistance is a thing. The Japanese used it. They used it to conquer their enemies. And the Chinese is using silent resistance as well. By the time we all find out what they're up to, it'll be late. Don't pay attention to people out there blabbing and talking about what they're going to do and showing their might. Those individuals will be conquered because they did not use wisdom. They didn't understand the power of silence. Be blessed, everyone.